Hello everyone, welcome to another Coding and Philosophy podcast. I'm here with a lot of people actually. For the first time we have a live studio audience. Woo!
Summer special.
Oh, that's gonna blow some eardrums. But yeah, we have me and we have Tri, and then we have someone called Sanni. Yes, and she's the business leader, the former business leader of our...
No, still.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Of our company. And, well, I'm going to be the new one.
Yes, I've been the business leader for the first 2 quarters, and you're going to be for the last 2 quarters. And we're doing the switching soon.
Yeah.
So don't call yourself that yet.
I mean, I already am calling myself that. I already wrote it down on a board.
This is the awkward power transition phase where all the...
I'm not ready to give up the title.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think a fitting topic for today is going to be about leadership. Because I've learned a lot during my tenure in the whole like cooperative tech company. And I also read a book. It was called, what was it called, Sanni?
How to not give a fuck about your employees.
Well, another book called Making Exceptional Things Happen in Organization, Part 3. So,
That's what I said.
Yeah, it has a section about not giving a fuck.
First part,
Yeah. Remember to not give a fuck. Yeah, I've made a lot of notes. Like when I read a book, I make notes about it, and yeah, I thought share. And well, like previously, before we like turned the mics on, I mentioned there was an event, a sales day event, which I recounted in one of our previous episodes, where we were tasked with selling a bunch of items. We had to sell like candles. And
we have this cleaning service that we were selling, and then we had these leather bracelets for sustainability. Those were the 3 products.
Yeah, and we had to sell them through like, well, any means necessary, but we did cold calling, door-to-door sales, and also had a stand somewhere.
Yes, so right before the sales day, I was stressing who is gonna lead us through this 3-day period. I was panicking, and then I turned to Juho, and Juho was ready to take up the role. I was a bit hesitant, but then how you were very excited to take up the role, because I think that it was the first time for you in Kaaos to take a leadership position, and it went well. Like actually it went well. I'm really happy. It went so well that I stepped down totally. And yeah. Yeah.
And actually I remember saying in the meeting that I would prefer if someone else be the leader, but I can't do that if no one else wants to. Because I think my whole like philosophy as a leader is that I want to make myself unnecessary. I want the team to be as good so good that I'm not needed anymore. And regarding leadership is that I have no like innate desire to be in power, but if I feel that the team would benefit, or if that's the most like if I'm the most capable, if I have the most capabilities to be the leader, then I'll take that role.
I get told a lot that the one who wants to be in the position of power should not be in there, but I think that in situations like these, you're a bit hesitant to step up and say that, hey, I think I'm actually good for this role. You're more like you want to be appointed on that role, even though you could have the courage to say that, okay, I'm going to take the lead on this.
Yeah, I think that's...
What's your motivation at the time you would like to take up on that role? Is there any voice in your head urging you to take up that role?
Well, I was just thinking constantly what's the most best for the team. And then you're right what you said, that I want to be appointed to be the leader. I don't necessarily like seize the power, you know, which is something that I don't know. To me, it makes more sense to have a system where a leader is appointed rather than a leader who seizes the power.
Democracy versus dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, I do believe in some good aspects of dictatorship because you can make or like let's pull out things get done really fast in a dictatorship. Like you don't have to like hear a lot of voices, and that's why like if you have a leader who likes to seize the power and likes to be in the power position, there is a lot of quick, fast decisions which are made. They're often very bad sometimes. I mean sometimes, but you just make more mistakes. But that's the like downside of it. But
yeah, I can compound that because for me it's also the efficiency that I really value, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but in a dictatorship, like that's how it works, and it works very well. But then everything around you is crumbling, and you're not seeing it because you value the efficiency.
It's the efficiency towards a cliff. You are heading full speed toward a cliff, and then you are infatuated with the fact that you are going fast.
Yes, and you're not alone. You have the whole team.
Yeah.
Choo choo.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Please carry on. You were mentioning you would like to be appointed as a leader during a sales day.
Yeah. Well, just in general, I want that the team would appoint a leader, or like I'm in a way pushing for us to have a democratic system within the team, because there's a lot of people. It's not a traditional business team has maybe like 3-5 members. Like we have 19. Yeah. So there's a lot of voices that have to be heard. So and what I think is a source of frustration oftentimes with me is that there is no, because we have to hear from everyone's voice. We don't make that many decisions. There's just a lot of talking of like what's the best way of doing things, and I just want some decisions to be like any decision is bad decision is better than no decision. Yes. And just I feel we like it's wasting time and energy sometimes.
But you know what I've done as the business lead of Kaaos? I knew that we have a lot of people here, and I need to listen to everyone's opinion, and we need to discuss the decisions through. But what I oftentimes did is that I did make the decision by myself by listening to some voices, and then that was the only way we were able to move on quickly. Because if I hadn't done it, if I hadn't had the courage to do it, we would still be stuck in the place that we were then. And I did get a lot of shit about it or hear from it, but then the result was good. Like I'm not scared to take the shit on me, because I only think of, not only, but I think about the team benefit and the goal. But then what I would suggest you to do is to try to listen to the team more than I did, because then you get people like on your bad side.
Sanni, can I ask, do you make the decision in your head prior to listening to all the opinion, or after you have listened to your team's member opinion, and then you still would like to form a decision based much on your opinion?
Actually, I oftentimes do it in my head already, but I'm really good at changing my mind and admitting that I was wrong and being like open about it, that I can, because it happens oftentimes, very often in our team meetings, and I'm very strongly with this opinion. Yes, but then someone gives a good reasoning, and I'm like, hey, actually I was wrong, and let's do this. This is way better. But then it's still me kind of doing the decision.
Yeah,
I think there was influence.
Yeah, and I hope that, because I was thinking what system would work in Pro Academia as a whole, and the same frustration that I have within the team, that there's a lot of people and no decisions get made. I think it's a common problem within all of Pro Academia, and the way you can the way to combat something like that is that you would have appoint one person as the king, and then you just have all the people come up like the way.
Imperial system.
Well, look, let's hear me out. Hear me out. So you would appoint a person to be the king, and then like the way it used to work is that you have the king, and then these people come and advisors come and tell like, here's like a king has to make a decision, and they go up to the advisors and ask like, what do you think? They all give their feedback, and then the king is the one who makes the decision, because they are just people who like to make a lot of decisions. That's like a character trait. And then you have people who like to analyze but don't like to make a lot of decisions. So to live in a symbiotic way, you need to assign these proper roles to the appropriate people. And that's a system which I would like to try, definitely, is that you have the king and everyone else is just an advisor who like, But
does that still support your democracy view?
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by that.
Collecting their opinion.
And you're saying,
collecting the team members' opinion and taking that into your framework of decision making.
Well, it does support it, because what I believe in like is that you are here. Like if it wasn't democratic, then the king would just make decisions without hearing from anyone. But because it is like, it's like it's a combination of democracy and like this old king style, and there's faults in the democratic system, and like just like there are faults in the king like system, where if let's say you have a dictatorship, which we talk, like if you have a person who likes to make decisions without ever hearing from other people, you just get like bad decisions all the time. But just like everything has their disadvantage and advantage. So you don't want to be like assigned to, or like, let's say, you don't want to follow one single way. You want to like pick the best.
Yes, and the beauty of the Brogan system is that as the leadership roles are rotating, we see like so many different types of leading, and how the companies manage that we are actually in a place where we can choose which one was the best.
Well, I have my own opinion about that.
And that's a form of iteration. It allows each member in the team member to be put as a leadership position and give them personality a try. And it's also an experiment on what kind of leadership survive.
But the problem I see in that is that if you have a group of people, just out of statistics, not everyone, or just the way humans work, not everyone out of that group is capable of being a leader. And I feel there's nothing more frustrating that if you have someone who's capable of being a leader, has to be led by someone who's incompetent or who's like not as capable.
And that also a learning opportunity, so that each the team member will have to have their rights and perform revolutions and overthrow the current system of organization and vote and elect a new body of jurisdiction.
And if you're realistic, we are talking about periods of quite a long time, and we are now a degree of 3.5 years. Not like only the 10% is going to be in the leader position that requires like actually knowing what you're doing. But then, like he said, like it's a really good place to learn, and not like, yes, if you are very prone to be in a leadership position, you can be doing it well. But if there's someone who's not really born to it, but you end up putting them in the leadership position anyways, it might turn out like really interesting how they end up operating the company.
Well, my feeling on that is that I feel the current leader, should train a person to be in that leadership position. And then when the current leader sees that, okay, you are now capable, then pass on that. Because there's actually a paradox of power, which means that people who want power, or like people who like, how would you put it? That
overthrow a kingdom.
well, so people who are like really strive to have power, want more of it, and if you are capable of having that power, then more will be given to you. Like more power will be given to you. I think that's the paradox of power. And well, my point is that if you have someone who's really likes to lead and likes to have a lot of power, then they're naturally gonna like be in the leadership position. And then for them to have even more power, they need to train a follower or train a person to like basically do their job so that they can focus on other things. They free up resources on other like aspects. And then it's just, yeah, that's the way like, I like that system a lot more than someone just pointing to a person and saying, you be the leader now, even though they might not be the most capable. It should be passed on.
That's, I think also that's a big cooperative philosophy. That like you're trained, like when we all come here, you're not, you wouldn't be up for the task where this place is training you to be. And like you wouldn't have not been ready to be the business leader a year ago. Not because of your skill, but because of people's skill. But in a year you have learned so much that I actually trust you with the task more than anyone in the company. And this is like the perfect example of how you have learned.
I see. So Pro Academia provide you with the training that is necessary to transform an individual to be capable leadership. Can I pose another question? How does Yuho be elected to become the next business leader?
How he was elected?
Yes. Or is it election? Is it an election or is it an appointment?
It was me spending months of thinking who would it be. I was asking a lot around, what do you think, who do you think it should be? I was stressing because there were, even though there was someone who I wanted to appoint, they weren't willing to take up the task for some reason. And
so what you're saying that I was the second choice?
Listen, to be honest, because the whole time I had the trust on you being the next one, but it wasn't the same with people around us because of how, like we said before the podcast, that we've had a lot of conflicts. Even though you're a very, very good co-worker, you still are learning to like the people skills and communicating better. And that was the reason why some people were a bit hesitant, but all along I knew, because I've seen how you've grown and how much you've learned, and that's why I was positive that it's time for you to take up this task. But so it wasn't an election; it was more like me appointing, and then there was backlash. But I stick to the decision, but it wasn't all my decision.
But then you also incorporate the team members' opinion as well, including the positive and negative, into the decision-making matrix. But then prior to that, you have already had Yuho into the list of the potential candidates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because if we had a vote, it doesn't, voting in a big team of 90 people, it doesn't really work. It's
why doesn't it work?
Have you ever played the Night of Werewolf? It
will
play out that way.
Well, how does it play out?
The vote will happen like that.
How does it play out?
It's that everyone has a different opinion, and by distribution, perhaps it's a normal distribution, so it's almost as if potential candidates have equal vote. But then the question is, that in reality, not many votes has equal weight, because people have different capacity to evaluate a person. The amount of exposure and interaction that an individual has interact with others, therefore formulate bias, observation, and recognition of skills and advantage. Or some people are just more impressionable in making their decision on intuition and feeling, rather than an actual thinking about the collective benefits.
Yes, and a really good example of that. Do you know why not voting in a government or in a country is not mandatory for everyone? It's because people it's made voluntarily, because when you vote, you do it because you want to and you know what to vote. If it's mandatory, you just vote whatever, and the result gets kind of rigged. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same value if everyone voted for their own willingness. Yes.
I didn't vote, or even though I have the capacity to vote for our municipality, just because I don't know anything about Tampere politics. And I feel that if I just vote arbitrarily, my vote doesn't do me justice or anyone justice.
Yeah, that's just like one example. It's not. We make it a bit bigger than in our company.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the fact that a person rises in the power to the leadership position.
And it, like, now that I'm thinking about it, there's no real voting in. There's very little voting in an actual company, or it's like there's basically none. It's like that's not how you make important decisions within a company. It's like it's a more of a hierarchical structure. Yes, I mean, if we're talking big organizations.
Yeah, to be honest, at first I was really down for the voting concept of how we make decisions. Then I realized that it's good for people who want exactly one decision made at this time. But then there's so much nuance, and it requires like street skills and people reading street skills to be able to make decisions in the company.
Yeah.
And voting cuts all that off.
Yeah. And with that, I think it's a good time to end the podcast.
Excellent. I think we can extend our discussion and then split it into two halves.
Well, that's actually a good idea.
What's the time of your podcast usually?
15 minutes.
Yeah.
15?
15.
So if we extend the duration and then split it in half, we have materials for 2 episodes.
So this is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for the part 2. Bye.